No, I call it ignorance.
Okay. So like if I was to have a conversation with somebody and I'm trying to explain to them, this is what the difference between sex and gender, and they're actively trying to, and they're going against that because they're just bigoted in a sense, refusing, like you said, ignorance. I look at that as like, I feel like that's a disconnect.
But then you also have to ask people, when are you talking about gender and when are you talking about sex? Because when we're talking about the bathroom issue, even though I personally think that I don't really care, even though I don't see them as women, I don't care if you use the bathroom. But bathrooms and I would say healthcare centers, bathrooms and athletics are when sex are relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Menial things such as sexual access is when gender is a conversation.
So, but where does the discrimination come? I think the discrimination more so comes when a man tries, like what people would say, a man tries to identify as a woman, or any man can just identify as a woman when they wake up, but they don't necessarily understand that that's not what a trans woman or a trans man is.
Is it discrimination?
You don't think that's discriminating if I'm judging an individual based on how they identify or their gender identity?
Okay.
Different if they're trying to access. Go ahead, I'll let you speak.
No. I was just asking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think that the thing is that the problem with the T thing as far as it comes to politics is that you are asking the world to see you as something that you are becoming, quote unquote, not something that you are.
So can I ask you a question?
So,
do you think that trans women don't exist?
Or it's not that I don't think that they exist. I don't think that you can fully transition. I don't think that. What'd you say?
No, so let me rephrase that. Like, do you think that it's real?
I don't think that you can I don't think that you can change your sex or gender. No, I think that you can.
I mean, like,
manipulate your
you
body.
think that at birth? Okay.
I think that the only thing that you can do is manipulate your body.
So you do not believe that there's an incongruence?
No.
Okay.
I think that Western media, medicine, Western foods, and Western culture have given people this idea that you can be whatever you want as long as you have the finances and the heart to do it. And I think that we need to start letting people, like, the thing about being a man and the thing about being a woman is that you are those things. You don't, they're not a performance. And I think that white society has made a lot of things a performance in order to be these things, and that's not.
I don't think there's like I don't think there's a majority of trans men and trans women that would say they're not female or male. I believe it's more so what just comes down to the gender, right? It comes down to more so the social construct, correct?
Right, but that's the thing. Like when we're looking at how trans people present themselves in African society, ancient African societies, trans people in ancient African societies worked as eunuchs. They worked as spiritual leaders. The trans people up to.
So what about pronouns?
Okay.
What about the fact that I'm labeled as a cisgender male?
That's always
when
existed.
Was that created? No, it didn't. It was created at the earliest use of it. The earliest use of it is the 70s.
Okay, so wait, today is 2024 now, so it's existed, right? And I believe it goes back further than that. I actually can't remember necessarily the time. So you can't say it didn't exist. It's existed since the.
And it's the first of its kind regarding this. There was a company that hired another company, and they only wanted that company to hire people from the LGBTQIA plus community. Mm-hmm. And because that company did not follow that recommendation or what they wanted, they're suing this company. It's, to me, what I'm starting to see, and even during the election, I saw a lot of people voting on this issue. Yahoo did a study on it. Google did a study on it. Why the economy was what everybody was saying they were concerned about in public, but pretty much behind closed doors, the LGBTQIA and specifically the transgender issue was more prevalent than anything. I'm trying to understand, how is it that we don't see, or do you guys see that this was a major issue for the election? It's a major issue for people in this country. And yes, just like being called a cis man or cis woman now, even though the term may have been coined in the 70s, it hasn't been really relevant until now. It hasn't been prominent till now.
Did Donald Trump make any statements regarding the trans community and what he was going to do with them?
He absolutely
made
did.
statements. Yeah, he made statements about the education.
No, I'm talking specifically about trans community. The Project 2025 we can't say because technically he told everybody he has no part of that, right? So Agenda 47, right? Okay, what did he say?
Donald Trump said on the stage at multiple rallies.
Am I frozen? She probably got a call.
From what I know about this issue, he basically said that pushing this ideology in schools into kids would result in persecution.
Those schools are going
Didn't hear him say that.
He said they would defund schools when they're educated on that. I would consider that an attack on the community. I would.
Wait, I never, I'm sorry, just to be clear, I've heard him talk about this Marxist ideology, the blue-haired freaks. I never really heard him talk about the trans community specifically.
Did you say blue-haired freaks? Oh my God.
That's what he said.
Oh, never mind that.
Yeah, that was a big, I don't know if it was the biggest, but that was a topic and something that people voted on. It was actually pretty,
I'm just confused on if that was the number one thing that they were voting on. Donald Trump not referencing this.
I don't think it was the number one thing. Are you talking about
made it different?
Are you talking about the trans community or what specifically? What you mean?
The trans community.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Trans rights, yeah. I'm sure that was the case.
Well, I know it here where I'm at, all of the commercials, advertisements that were campaign related, probably 3 out of 4 were about, we got to keep the trans people out of the bathrooms and all of that nonsense. Mm-hmm. And that's what was being pushed very hard. And then it was anti-Kamala. Other than that, that's all I saw.
I don't know how many times I watch CBS, the sport games on CBS or whatever, and you would see randomly before the election, the campaign ad about the prisoner, the Kamala has allowed sex changes for prisoners and stuff like that on the game of a week on Channel 9 for the entirety of America to see. And she said that she's there for they, them, but not for you, which is crazy work, to be honest with you.
But doesn't now, didn't they do something where the military now pays for sex changes? And listen, the left went cuckoo on this subject. Okay,
I thought Donald Trump threatened to boot them out of the military.
Well, okay, yeah, maybe. But what I'm saying is, during the past 3 years, 4 years, the military now pays for their sex changes. If you join the military and you decide that you're not a man, you're a woman, and you want a sex change, the military. So our tax dollars, my tax dollars, your tax dollars, FB, the money that they could use for reparations is going now to
Stop. Republicans don't care about reparations.
I do.
Stop.
We're not going to use reparations.
I do.
Take another word.
Yeah.
I do.
But Belle, I don't know if you're aware of it, but the military for well over a decade has been providing breast implants to cishet women.
I had to get my barbecue out the fridge, but I just want to be clear that that's the same type of identity politics that we be talking about. that y'all complain that the left does, to try to sit there and weaponize what we could be using this money for reparations,
I'm
right?
not weaponizing.
Knowing damn well the Republican Party ain't going for that
But
shit.
wait a second now. For you to say that, you know, I've been pro reparations since forever, a year and a half ago.
You may be.
I
Your
think that
party
way.
is
So I'm not using it against anyone. So forget the reparations then. Just our tax dollars in general that could go for our children's education.
Bell, what I'm saying is that you aren't against reparations, but we know that your party is.
Yes.
So we can't use that as an argument because I don't feel like it's fair.
I'm going to change that.
Well, good luck with that. But Jen actually did make a point about the military paying for a breast implant. Yep. I think it only matters. These kind of issues only matter when it involves the trans community.
Nope. That's
when it's a problem.
But let me ask you this. So you don't see, have you heard of any issues with the trans community? You know how everyone was saying, like the prisons, for instance. I know that was a hot button topic, right? And like the story about the prisoner that identified as a woman was transferred to a woman's prison and ended up getting multiple inmates pregnant because they had not had the surgery. This is a few years ago. If you go ahead and look it up, I forget what state it was in, but it sparked outrage. That story too. Yeah, it sparked outrage, and I just know that there was a lot of people upset about this issue, and this swayed their vote. So
here's the thing. I think a lot of people are upset about that, but not upset about the fact that, let's just say in male prisons, that men are sexually assaulting each other, and in women's prisons or female, women are assaulting each other. So if we compare the actual incident that happened and say, okay, how many times has this happened versus a female assaulting another female in the prison, I can almost assure you that the latter is going to be,
okay. But at the risk of being labeled transphobic or homophobic, which
having a conversation, you shouldn't be.
No, but I'm gonna go ahead and say. I
think women should be allowed to be safe in women's spaces. I also think that transgender people should be allowed to identify how they identify. But when it comes to like housing a transgender in an all-woman prison, allowing them to engage in all-woman sports, I think this is where I think we as a society need to do a little bit more research.
Yeah, I think that they need their own sports. Like I'm not gonna even do that. I do have a problem with it because
what would that sport be called?
I mean, I said their own sports, plural, their own league. We have the women's league, we have the men's league, and then we can have the LGBTQIA plus league or the trans league. However you want to put it, I do believe that they should be able to compete with other people, like-minded people, like-bodied people, however you want to phrase it, for lack of better words at the moment. I do believe that is not only fair, it's inclusive, and it would solve a lot of the issues that people claim to have with this whole thing.
Hey,
and if it is a mental disorder, right?
No, why?
I was just gonna say because I don't know if she knows if you can mute Fick the Bean.
I can't.
Because she's got a lot of background noise. There you go. Sorry about that, Doolittle.
No worries. I was just saying that I feel like it would be inclusive. I feel like it would put at least a muzzle on some of the conversation or the issues with the trans community. And even that, I have to try to stumble and fumble to find words that aren't necessarily offensive to people. And that bothers me. Because if I call people, I've always been taught, I'm in my 40s. So if I say, oh no, you're a transvestite, right? And no, but that was the terminology I grew up with. Immediately, this person is a homophobic, this person is a transphobic. We need to stop.
I thought that was referencing like intersex people, like people who have like both.
We were always taught, and I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying we can learn, but you don't label someone for not knowing. I
Like
think that's
today,
gone too far.
the mold.
I don't think
Today,
so. I think
IFB.
that I believe like if there's a person that's like from the trans community and we say something that offends them, I feel like they have a right to be upset about it.
I'm not saying
I
that they
do also
don't.
believe no, but I do also believe that there should be grace given because, like you
Right.
said, not everybody's going to know things. But I can't speak. I can't not be upset for the trans community. That's just my opinion. I feel like there should be a little grace given, and like if you're running into people who's like,
What?
well, if
What happened?
he must have just died or something. Like I think there should be a little bit more grace given. I know, like if I go to Starbucks and I say my pronouns are they them, but then the person's like specifically intentionally is calling me he him, then I would think that that's completely different from somebody who just made an honest mistake. And I feel like that should be acknowledged. But again, I can't be mad or not mad for a community.
True.
Genuinely, I'm sorry.
And Doolittle, I think that when it comes to like the bathroom issue that a lot of people, especially on the fringe right, have, it goes back to why bathrooms were even separated in the first place. And I forget all of the details, and there's racism mixed into that. But that's where bathrooms became separated because they used to not be men's and women's, male and female. It used to be just anyone can
Restroom.
use this bathroom. Yeah. Like this restroom here is unigender, unisex. I mean, that's how the VA hospital I go to has all of the bathrooms. Almost all of them are any gender. There are some that are separate because they've got multiple stalls in them. But yeah, it might take more money to have separate bathrooms. However, if it makes the people who are scared of trans people feel safe, and if it makes the trans people be safe because they're not going to have to worry about being attacked by someone who's scared of them,
But even
then
that,
it's worth the money.
and I've often had questions about that. People have said that they don't feel safe. In my state, and especially where I live, there's a large LGBTQIA plus community around here. There's even like little cities kind of known for specifically that. They, kind of live in their own communities and they forge their own communities. And there was a trans man who tried to hit on me. And we ended up having a conversation, myself and a few other people, about that, where I feel like it should have been made known, or it should be made known immediately, not saying right there in front of the person, but if you feel unsafe, what is wrong with texting the person as soon as you get into the car, hey, this is how I identify, this is, what I am, then give that person a choice. I feel like the choice is being taken away from people sometimes, and that's where a lot of the fear comes in, or some of the fear comes in. Some of the frustration comes in because a lot of people in the community feel like they shouldn't have to ever say anything unless you're getting ready to become intimate. And I don't feel like that's fair.
Well, I think that they're like, if they were to do that, he doesn't believe that they should exist. And they're actual hate, like for example, black trans women, they barely can make it past the age of 35. And
So you don't feel like that?
I don't think you're hearing. No, and I'm not saying this to be like.
What I'm saying is like, if a trans man or a trans woman is not identifying to you or telling you right off the bat, it is because they are afraid of what could potentially happen. Even if they were to text you in a car, they're afraid that telling somebody who they are could put them in active danger.
But telling someone who they're not is the same deal.
Exactly. So I understand the struggle of being in that community.
Well, my thing is like, regardless of how they feel, we need to engage with a certain amount of honesty and a certain amount of integrity and morality as adults when we're going into a relationship, right? Like hypothetically, like, thank the good Lord that I don't. But like, if I was sitting here carrying something, right, hypothetically, to where like I was stuck with this thing for life, you know what I'm saying? it would be a real scummy thing for me to start dating a woman, having her start to develop feelings for me without being completely honest on that forefront. And it's the same thing because like I even understand and sympathize with the fear of like, oh, if I say something, then it might end. Because that's also a real relevant, valid fear that they hold. But at the same time, and this is something that I tell to young people that are dating all the time, like it is better to weed out the unqualified, so to speak, as early as possible, especially when we're talking about dating. And especially if you're talking about dating in that community, because I'm not going to disagree with you. Like there's a certain safety element that they have to be concerned with. But I think the best way to mitigate those things is just moving with a certain amount of honesty, confidence, and integrity about that. Because when it comes out later on, you know, it's almost like the same deal where a guy is unfaithful to a woman, right? And when she confronts him, one guy is completely honest about it, and then the other guy just doubles down. It's like, it wasn't me, I didn't do nothing, starts crying and all this and other shit. What the woman decides to do is ultimately her choice. But what I will tell you is this: whether or not the woman on the first option stays or leaves. Hold on, real quick, bro. I'm landing my plane. But
go ahead, land your plane.
Whether the first woman decides to stay or leave, she will still maintain a amount of respect as opposed to the second one. Respect is gone. Not only were you deceitful, but you were dishonest when confronted about it.
Yeah, I actually agree with the honesty, but I feel like that'll come with the acceptance. I feel like society has to actually embrace or accept people from the trans community. I feel like the more and more that actually happens, the more and more people are going to, you know, feel more comfortable, more safe to come out. Because I understand it from the Doolittle side about as far as like, you know, you want to know, and like you said, you don't want to get too intimate with an individual, and then bam, they're a trans man or a trans woman. You know, I can understand that fear from both aspects. But there still has to be a level of acceptance to make people comfortable to actually come out and say, I am trans, I'm a trans man or a trans woman. Okay. I don't think we've gotten there as society yet because they're still being under attack with certain restrictions and legislations and stuff like that. So I
want to say this, FB. I want to say this. Do you believe that because people are not willing to learn their ignorance with their biases? This is the reason they feel that way?
Yes, 100.
And I wish everybody would understand that. We all grew up with biases, right? I'm black. When I grew up, my grandmama told me white folks was shit. They had a reason to say that. But when I talk to white people, they always said that they were more better and on shit as well. I'm just saying, man. You know, like, I think about things like Jim Crow days. White people didn't go through that bullshit. You control that atmosphere. It lasted, and I'm gonna say this again, 100 fucking years.
What?
It's talking about Jim Crow, I guess before and after Jim Crow.
Yeah. And then when did black folks get rights? What year was that? Doolittle, since you love.
First of all, why you putting emphasis on my name like that, bro?
Yeah, why are you pressing her?
Because I'm going to say it like
why
that.
Why are you pressing her? Why are you pressing her like that?
He's a little drunk right now. I'm 100% sure. It doesn't excuse it, though.
No, it doesn't excuse me. Right.
Yeah, so
sorry, you're just feeling the OE, OG. That's all right. You know, just calm on. You know what I'm saying? Just calm it down. You good?
So what was your question? Because I heard just the emphasis. I'm a different. Yeah.
Oh, you said emphasis. Hey, I love your lingo. You said emphasis. I like that. I say it too. I like your lingo.
Okay, what was your question for me?
What I just was like, oh, we were just shooting shit a minute ago.
Mm-hmm. And you said, what year did black folks get it right? What did you
get rights?
Get rights. Right. Oh, civil rights movement in 1964, technically 65.
And Jim Crow was 100 years.
No.
Think about that.
Really? That's a
Yeah.
long time. Yeah, I know, brother. I know.
Okay. Don't play with my emotions. Don't do
I
that. Right.
don't play with nobody's emotions. You emotional? Yeah, no. That's on you, Chai. Not me. I'm
What do you
just letting you
mean?
know.
Oh, hey, did you grow up in the suburbs?
I grew up in Watts, California.
Bullshit. I call
Okay.
On that note,
All
I
day,
will
all
be
day,
back.
bro.
On that note, I'll be back. Blessings, y'all.
I call bullshit.
Yeah.
How you
You
gonna
grew
tell
up in the
somebody?
suburbs. You grew up in the suburbs.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
You always accusing people of growing up in the suburbs, Shaky.
Because it happens. Because I've met a lot of them.
But it's like you do that to everybody.
Yeah, bro.
Wait, did you grow up in the suburbs?
No.
Okay.
Actually,
Right.
I wish
You
I
may
did,
be
but
socialized or you within the suburbs, but you
Oh, you a
didn't.
puppy?
what does that mean? What does that mean? What does it mean socialized?
You was in an atmosphere, like demographic shit like that. That's what I meant. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
my-
not saying you in that fashion, but yeah, because we all do it as black people. We be in certain areas, school, jobs, and shit like that, and but we, just saying.
That's cool. I hear you, bro.
Belle, you from the suburbs?
Actually,
No.
now I am. Now I am. Yes, now I am.
Oh, now you from the suburbs. That's crazy.
Yeah. Up until I was 14, I was not.
And
from the
and
suburbs.
Doolittle was from the suburbs too. She just lying to us right now. Yes.
I'm not lying on you. You're forgetting. My parents are immigrants.
California doesn't look like it's in.
We didn't come here and straight
What?
straight
California
to the
doesn't look like it's suburbs.
Okay.
You're originally from Chicago, right?
All day, every day.
The suburbs in Chicago, Shaky?
At the moment, yeah, this is what I'm dwelling at. At the moment.
Just like me at the moment. Yes.